All right, how's it going, everyone? Tyler Hopkins here with Farmboy Marketing Agency, and in this video, we're going to be going over how to build a successful brand in 2023. So if you want to read more about the article, just go ahead and go to our website. We have a lot of other marketing material and insights on how you can build a successful brand in 2023 and beyond. We have some articles about video marketing, about CRMs and other items that are going to be beneficial for you to learn if you are a small business owner or if you are even just another marketer and you're going to want to know a little bit more information going into 2023. I think a lot of this can be very helpful, but let's just jump straight into the content. So before you can actually build a successful brand, you're going to actually need to know what is a brand. So I have some notes on the side. So I'll go over all of this for anyone who likes video as far as learning. For me, I'm bigger into learning through video, but if you are somebody who likes to read and go a little bit more in depth, just go over to our actual website, farmboyinc.com, and go to the blog section and you'll find all of our articles there. But just to start out with, what is an actual brand? So your brand is your reputation. It is, how the consumers perceive you and how they can distinguish you from the competition. So I'll use the example of Nike and New Balance. I think we can all agree that these are two brands that we are familiar with, but we definitely see them in different lights. So let's use them as the example. So if we think about Nike, Nike is a sports athletic product. They specialize in shoes and other active wear. But if we think about, who is the top sports performance brand, I think we can all agree that it's Nike. And then if we think about something like New Balance, we may not have as clear of an idea of what this brand is about. What do they stand for? So that's a good analogy from a brand that spends a lot of time and a lot of attention and a lot of targeting for us to actually know that Nike is based on sports athletics. And if I were going to sum up New Balance these days, it's more of the dad brand. It is a brand that is way more comfortable focused, more minimalistic, more sleek than something that's based off of athletic performance. So that's kind of how I would position a brand in that light, which will get us more into, if you are a brand, how you can start branding as far as a brand guide. So what are some things that you can do to actually be the Nike of your, product or your service? Or how can you not be something that's a little bit unclear as far as our example of a New Balance? So first off, what is a brand guide? So in a nutshell, the brand guide is going to help the company identify and establish a communication style that is recognized and consistent. So if we think about Nike, it's very consistent as far as targeting athletes. It's targeting performance-based shoe products. It has branched out clearly over time to have other active wear, other sports gear, if you will. But if we think about it from the brand guide perspective, they've done a good job sticking to a specific focus of the athlete. What are their needs? What are the types of products that they want? What are the different colorways that they prefer? And they've done a good job over the years, establishing that and becoming a brand that's very specific to that category, to that market. So let's jump into why is branding important. So it makes your company different from the competition, and it's why you are a superior choice. Like I said, if we're comparing a Nike, we can understand that that's a more premium product than let's call it a New Balance, if you will, even though you're still going to have some New Balance that are definitely high quality as far as the product price itself. But if we think of Nike versus a New Balance, I think we can all think and know that which one is going to be a more superior type of a product. And that goes with branding. That goes with positioning themselves as the leader in sports athletics. And that takes a lot of work, a lot of actual attention to detail. And having a brand guide is going to communicate that with the end consumer with a lot of the other things that we're going to talk about down here at the bottom. So how you do that, so how do you build a great brand in 2023? Now we're going to go into more details on, how is the consumer going to actually perceive this message and actually understand your branding by this type of communication method. So first off, you're going to need to identify, who is your target audience, who has similar values, similar behaviors, and who is a similar demographic to who you're actually targeting. So in this example, Nike is dedicated to the audience of sports athletes, people who want to perform at a high level in sports, where I would assume, without knowing too much about New Balance, because I'm clearly not targeted enough and their communication with me isn't as strong as a Nike, I would say that they're more focused on being comfortable, having more minimalistic design, and being something that is more niche other than something that is as broad as all of athletics. Like, I think we can all assume that Nike has branched off into all of these different athletic categories, to where a New Balance would maybe be more specific to running, as an example. So they may be very versed in running shoes and leisure, other than something that's more based off of performance. So to understand that, you're going to need to know, who is your target audience based off that, and then build out your brand design, build out your marketing message to actually identify with them, which goes a little bit more into our next category, which is define your mission. Your mission statement should encapsulate the goal of your company in a single sentence. So this is something how you can hone in on what is your brand about, what is their mission, who are you trying to service as a brand, and it makes all of the other noise, obsolete, because you're focused, very detailed on your mission, your product, and your audience. So having a clear, defined mission is going to help you not get to, all over the place, especially if you're a brand new brand and you're trying to be the catch-all for all athletic shoes. Like, it makes more sense to be more defined, have a more mission-oriented product and branding. And then after you do that, then you can kind of branch off into other areas. Let's go into number 3, which is more about telling the story. So branding at its very core is storytelling. So if we think about Nike in the perspective of athletics, they do a good job storytelling as far as getting athletes on board who themselves have a good story, as far as Michael Jordan, as far as specific athletes who are a part of the company, and using them as a proxy to actually help storytell, what is this brand about? So Michael Jordan, the whole Jordan brand is very synonymous with being the best. We can all understand that he is, well, wouldn't say we all think, but a lot of people think that he is the best basketball player that has ever lived. And if you correlate a brand with Nike, or if you correlate this athlete with Nike, that's going to help in the storytelling if you're looking at being the best shoe product or the best athletic shoe in your market. So that would be a quick and easy way to explain storytelling from the perspective of maybe an athlete. So without going into too much detail, because you can read through a lot of these other things just so you can get a little bit more insight on what we're talking about as far as storytelling. But to storytell, you're also going to need to know, who is your competition, because that's going to help you differentiate yourself from everyone else. Like if you're a New Balance and you're focused on maybe running or leisure, then knowing that you can help position yourself as a premium product that is specific to athletic performance in the case of Nike. So know your competition. A strong brand is able to respond to competition with confidence. So understanding what everyone else is doing in that space, like we said, is going to help you define all of these other categories that's going to help with your branding. So knowing who your competition is, maybe you steer away from that audience and you find out who is the target audience, define your mission around that audience, and then create a story based on all of these two things is going to help you stand out from the competition. So hopefully that made sense, because clearly you don't want to be doing the exact same thing that your competition's doing, and then you're just competing with maybe somebody who's in the top 1, top 2, top 3 positions in that brand. Maybe there's something more unique that you can do when you know who your competition is. Maybe you can create your own niche, you can create your own category, and you can build out and become the expert in that category instead of trying to fight with your competition. So understanding your competition is going to be very important with creating a strong brand and actually creating a strong brand guide. So number 4, coming down here, knowing everything above, everything kind of correlates with each other. So the next part's going to be, how can you advertise this effectively? So if the whole assumption of, if you build it, they will come, isn't necessarily true when it comes to building a successful brand. So this comes with being able to actually use marketing, knowing your competition, knowing your audience, knowing your mission, all of that. Then it comes to how can you actually target that audience. And you're going to need to do that through advertising, telling your story, being able to fine-tune who are you actually speaking with. And then you can use advertising to do that, since you know who your target audience is, you know what they like or they prefer, you know kind of the storytelling process that you're going to need to correlate your mission with their needs, and to do that effectively with the lowest cost possible is going to be using advertising to basically communicate your brand with that actual target audience. So just building a brand, putting it online, having a Shopify store or having a WordPress site or any other kind of website, just thinking that people are naturally going to come to it is not how it works these days. You're going to need to be proficient in search engine optimization, keyword strategy, pay-per-click, social media, maybe email marketing or outreach programs. Like there is a lot that's involved in actually telling your story to that correct audience. They're not just going to show up on, the first page of Google for this brand new page related to, athletic sports shoes. You're going to actually have to spend money to find that audience, communicate your message, and make sure that it's something that they need and that they want based on the other research that you've done through your brand guide, and everything else that's associated with creating a strong brand, especially in 2023. There's a lot more competition these days. So That's going to be extremely important. And then, being consistent, commit to consistency. So consistency adds value to your branding effort by making your brand recognizable and trustworthy. So this is another thing that Nike has done well over the years. Like, Nike has been around for a long period of time, and they've been very consistent on dedicating themselves to athletic tennis shoes, athletic products that I think we all know. If you ask anybody these days, who is the top brand in athletic tennis shoes, I think everyone would have Nike in their top 3, and then maybe some of the other brands. I'm pretty sure over all of these years, they've been very consistent with being a premium product that focuses on athletic performance by all of the athletes who are sponsored by them, all of the branding and marketing that you've seen. You've seen the check mark, just do it, everywhere, and it's usually very correlated with their mission of them being the top leader in athletic performance. So being very consistent is key. Having, the same color palette, the same specific font, just like the check mark, that check mark has not changed. Having very similar color palette, any other kind of fonts, developing a cohesive strategy, story, and brand guide is going to make sense for you to bring your brand to the next level. So consistency is key. Down here we more talk about, if you're a brand who is a little bit more out there, maybe you have a little bit more of a unique ice cream flavor with a brand voice that is creative and witty and loud, then it's going to reflect with the type of, text that you create, the different types of maybe loud color schemes that you create, or maybe as this example, we talk a little bit more about medical equipment, then you may have a little bit more of a simple type of font. You don't want to be too loud. You want to be a little bit more professional. Being consistent with this messaging is going to build value over time to where they're going to be more familiar with you. It's going to resonate with that type of an audience. Somebody who is buying medical equipment and then seeing a brand that looks like it's some modern, witty type of out there branding isn't really going to correlate with a lot of things that they've seen that maybe look more professional and a little bit more on brand as far as a medical equipment type of brand that they may be used to. So consistency is key. We also talk more about understand trends in art and design and know when to use them. This kind of also correlates what we just talked about before. So if you are in an industry like we talked about with like medical sales or something that is a little bit more of an old school brand, then you staying on brand as far as having maybe a more retro design, more of a retro type copy face, then that's going to make a little bit more sense than you trying to just be in the moment with the trends. Like if you keep pivoting every year with what's on brand, or not on brand, but what's on trend, then you're going to be constantly changing over the years instead of actually sticking to something that is more of a long-term value. Like we keep using Nike as the example. That Nike check, the actual Nike logo, the actual font itself has been very, very consistent over the years. They haven't deviated from that, which has added value over the years to where you've seen that when you were a kid. You see that multiple times a day, and maybe it's subconscious. You're not really thinking about it, but then you go to actually buy a pair of shoes. You know the story of Nike. You know all of the professionals who have been involved with Nike, and that is correlating with that imagery of the check mark, with the logo, with the actual type of fonts that you've been using. That's going to make a huge difference. All of the different video content that you've seen over the years, using the same branding, the same messaging, all of this is going to help you create a strong brand, not only now, but into the future. Because think about it in the long term. Like, we're creating this for any brands that are thinking about their branding in the perspective of 2023. There's a lot of noise in the marketplace. More and more brands are coming online. How can you stand out? How can you create a brand that's going to be consistent over the next 5, 10, 20, 50, 100 years? Using a brand guide, using brand creative, having a specific mission statement, knowing who your audience is. All of these different things are going to correlate with actually creating and building a strong brand in 2023. So go ahead and read through this whole article. If you have any additional questions, reach out to us. We're a digital marketing agency focused on building brand. Because if we can answer a specific question that may be related to your business, is going to be a lot easier than you just randomly going throughout Google and trying to find more additional information that correlates with your business. Just click the contact us button, or actually go down here to the comments, or if you're on YouTube and you're watching this, just go down and comment below, or hit the link in the description, which is going to bring you to a page just like this, to where you can actually have us go through your brand. And if you need a little bit more details of what we do, just scroll throughout the other pages that we have, just to get more familiar with, who do we work with. And I think before we go, let's see if I can pull up something. So here's a specific brand guide. I won't go into too much detail, but if you landed here and you're at the end of this video, I appreciate it. This is a specific brand guide that we created for one of the clients that we work with. And I won't go through all of these because this is more confidential to them. But this is kind of how we map things out. This more correlates with their mission, like we talked about. Who we are. Here's the typography. This is all of the different fonts and different versions of it and how you can use it appropriately. The color scheme, logo usage, how you should use it, how you shouldn't be using it, social media and content. And this, we also go into more details and actually show them examples of the content that we're thinking about, which uses the logo, uses the color, uses the typography. So all of this encompasses the actual branding and the brand direction that we want to use moving forward, so everything can be cohesive across email campaigns, social media, on-page website design, any kind of external pamphlets or business cards or other marketing material, mailers, billboards, all of that. All of that information would be included here, and that would kind of go along with patterns and any additional elements that we want to create for them. So again, if you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to us. We have some availability creating websites. We're kind of booked out into the future, but we're always able to take on marketing clients. So feel free to reach out. Hopefully you've gained some value from this. Just apply this any way you can. If you're a brand new brand, or if you're a brand who's trying to adapt into 2023, use this advice. Go through our other articles. We have a lot of other blogs that are related to how you can leverage digital marketing during a recession or economic downturn, which is kind of what we're dealing with now. 5 reasons why video marketing should be a part of your marketing strategy. And just go through all of these, learn as much information as you can, apply it to your business, and you will be in a much better spot moving into 2023 and beyond. So until next time, have a good one. Love you all. Bye-bye.